Hi, my name's Joe. I'm just doing a daily vlog for this little clothing thing that I launched called the Inward Markings Garment Company. I launched it a couple of weeks ago, and as will become apparent over this vlog, it's just something that I needed to do in the way that it was done. So, the first line of designs is available at inwardmarkings.com, but if you never get there, then life goes on and it's literally all good. I'm not really much of a salesman or a marketer, but if you're just curious, there's also go to inwardmarkings.com and there's also the YouTube link there. But yeah, you'll need to watch the first 9 chapters to make sense of this, and that's the case over the longer term. Thank you to anyone who's even liked an Instagram post or anything regarding this vlog, even if you haven't actually watched anything. Again, this vlog is just something that I need to do as part of this process. So yeah, it's really about me. Now, I don't have control over the lighting, so if shit goes wrong, as long as you can hear what I'm saying, that's the main thing. I try and choose like picturesque locations or that kind of thing, so hopefully you can see the city for the most part throughout this vlog in the back. The Instagram is at Inward Markings. Where I left off last time was being based in Bangkok, and the first kind of, I guess if you like, flow state that I feel like has been significant out of the sort of 3 or 4 flow states that have occurred over the last 8-9 years leading up to Inward Markings, and I was going to talk about, I mentioned premonitionary dreams that became significant in my life around mid-2017, but I'm not actually going to go there today because I've realized between then and now that I'll need to actually write stuff down in more detail for that, because to make the best of it, I'll need to sort out the chronology and make sure that I get the details down, because it's just been things have been so overwhelming over the last period that since that time that I just haven't really documented stuff properly. It's been very depleting. This major life shift that's happened, and so I'll need to write that down. And when I explain it eventually, I think it will make sense to people as to why the draining nature of it and how it's been challenging to actually document stuff consistently. And like yourself, I'm sure I do question what the fuck has been happening. How can life have changed so dramatically in the way that it has, and then has caused me to reevaluate so much of my life so far? And I'm doing Google searches that I never thought I would ever do. So things like angel numbers and just the power of numerology. The numbers 16 and 14 have been especially prominent. 14 today has been especially prominent. The numbers 1 and 4 together, so 41 as well, but more so 14. And numbers adding up to 14. And if anyone else has those experiences, please comment below. It will sound alien or foreign to people that have not experienced it, but there are I can no longer avoid the reality of the universe bringing certain numbers to my attention, whether it be through whatever means, and at the very least I will feel compelled to look in certain directions or at certain things based on what's going on during the day, numbers will just appear out of nowhere, which I will explain further later. I mean that sounds it's not so much they appear out of nowhere, but it's it's difficult to articulate in words. So what I just wanted to talk about was this first phase. So the writing and editing that I did in Bangkok, I just found myself this is something that I'll hopefully be able to convey to you. But even though I was opiate dependent in Bangkok, I it's funny because I was thinking about this exact issue. I was in a suburb called Richmond, near this, going to this mall called Victoria Gardens, and to get a charger cord, and I was leaving the shopping complex, and I was thinking about this exact issue, and I looked up, and this car, this massive truck drove past with the words Cope on it. I think it's the name of the company is Cope, like based on a surname, I'm imagining. But essentially, that is what it was about. It played a functional role, and was a way of, I guess, coping with a lot that had happened in my life. In addition to the element of having an interest in drug use and the pleasure and experiences associated with it. But it didn't like alter me fundamentally as a person in terms of like what I prioritized, what was deeply important to me. And so during this time in Bangkok, I used my writing and editing opportunities to try and benefit things that I supported. So whether it be writing articles or updating profiles of like people that I respected, artists of all kinds, skateboarders, musicians, etc. And I just found myself completely, like, I think part of my disposition, which is connected to my past drug use, is that when something resonates with me deeply, I get into these flow states where it becomes just this intensive commitment, if you like. And so I would just edit for like 10 to 12 to 14 hour stretches, just continually, day after day. And of course there was the financial imperative. The last thing I wanted to do was to be homeless in a foreign country. But I just became completely... I just love the editing process, and as I said in the last chapter, my brain, I now realize in hindsight, my brain was sort of entering this different stage that would then be intensified further with the next editing role that I got, which is kind of the second part of this first flow state. And it was just such an intensive time, and my memory of it isn't so great because I just, like with all the flow states, it's... the more recent ones I have a much better recollection of, but that period between 2012, 2013 until 2016, 17, it was just this, intensive writing and editing stage. And what was interesting, like I mentioned, discovering Taylor Swift, like inadvertently, when I first arrived in Bangkok, so around 2012, at the end of 2012, beginning of 2013. But I didn't think about it, didn't know that it was Taylor Swift, as I mentioned. And at the start of this writing phase, this first flow state, I just happened to click on this video post of a friend on Facebook just randomly. Like, I never actually check people's personal Facebook pages or anything in social media. I never, unless something is really pressing, which is very rare, I never go to people's individual profiles. For some reason, it feels invasive to me. Like, I don't like going, I never go through people's albums, or I don't even look at like their about me or anything like that. It just feels invasive. So what I do is I just allow the algorithm to show me things like, I guess, like shuffle on a music player. And whatever the algorithm shows me is what I feel is, what I need to see or what I can choose from. Yeah. And so, so if anyone's wondering, why I might like certain things or not like certain things of people's for long periods of time, it's just basically because if it doesn't appear in my feed, then I'm not going to your page unless, So, but I'm sure people have been to my profile numerous times. I'm sure I'm the only one that has that fucking hang up. It just feels invasive. But so I clicked on this video, and it was just like this parody video of this sort of showing like 1980s aerobics video footage. It was just really hilarious. But there was this song that was playing to it, and for some reason, it just really made an impact on me, and I had to go searching for this song, even though it was like not a song I was familiar with and not of a style that I'd ever kind of encountered before. It turns out it was Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. And then I'm not just mentioning this because I'm trying to fucking talk about Taylor Swift, or anyone who knows me or who's followed me on social media knows that it's a big deal to me, so that they will understand why I'm mentioning this. But this isn't just about like blatant promo. But what then happened after that initial discovery is just this really, the music just consumed me in a way that is incomparable to anything else that's happened in my life prior to that. And the album 1989 is just, I never expected it. I never even expected to listen to Taylor Swift, who between that time when I first started in Bangkok, I did see like the name occasionally on the internet, and but when 1989 dropped, it was phenomenal. It just resonated with me really deeply, and I just could not stop listening to it. I listened to it literally non-stop, and just followed everything. I ended up following Taylor Swift on social media channels, and I don't really do that for artists that often in such a way. Like, there'll be a time that passes, or I'll sort of wait to kind of hear more of what they've got and do some exploration. But with 1989, it was just like, holy fuck. And then it just happened immediately, the social media stuff. And then listening to the back catalogue as well, and just watching everything that I could on the internet, and like coming across this magazine feature like in a Bangkok bookstore for English language readers, that feels serendipitous in hindsight. And just everything became 1989 and Taylor Swift stuff like from that point on. And I've tweeted over 40,000 tweets. I have no fucking idea how that occurred, but I am curious. I don't look back on any of my tweets. It's just something, I don't know, it's just not something that feels right. But there's a significant percentage of those tweets that are related to Taylor Swift. So it was an intensive period. And so if anyone had their Wikipedia profile updated or anything like that, or had an article written about them, that was me. That's connected to me. It was just about that flow state. The other album that was also influential was Blue Neighborhood by Troye Sivan, his debut album, and that similarly impacted on me. But the 1989 was, I called a clarion call, because that's it was life changing for me. And in later, as this vlog goes on, the significance of the discovery of 1989, which feels like part of this destined process, and was serendipitous events, led me there. The reason I'm mentioning it will come up. And so what then happened in the second stage of that flow stage is because a new role emerged exactly at the right time as well, and that was doing academic and scientific editing. So like, the rearrangement of my brain, in hindsight now, I realize just took another step, and I started to perceive language and meaning and syntax and grammar and punctuation in a more sophisticated way. But it really, again, I entered into these really marathon editing sessions over long periods of time. That wasn't just about the money. And my use of language hasn't been the same since that entire stage, including the one before the academic stage. And what also started happening around sort of 2015, 16 is just similar, just the kind of gradual progression of serendipitous events that and kind of like, I guess, universe-related events or cosmic events that have then become more significant based on what's happened recently. So yeah, I found money again on the ground on a couple more occasions, um, and then on another occasion, for some reason, I just this is a really distinct memory, and it was in the kind of 6 months prior to the premonitionary dreams. Um, One of which involved that corner right there, um, and skateboarding, funnily enough. I haven't told anyone that, but if anyone has seen the Vans Passport video,